Hello and welcome to the Premier League primetime show with this year the very first episode, and I'm delighted as your host, Davis Rothman, to be hosting you on the show, and I am even more delighted to have these three absolutely fantastic co-hosts with me, Andre, Sirius, and Jose. How are you all doing?
Great. How are you?
Very good, Davis.
Good too.
That's awesome. I'm super excited for the show. And and the reason why I'm starting this podcast is because I'm very passionate about the Premier League, and it's something that I've followed for a long time. And I think for when people watch, pundits and things like that, and people only see, just older people, or I don't know, people like from like ESPN FC and people like that. And I think it's important to have a perspective from a younger perspective and for the younger fans. And I think it's important to have a voice for them to look at and a younger opinion to use as a reference. So yeah, that's what to say about it. What do you guys have to say about that?
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I think it's definitely important to have a youthful view. A lot of the pundits are adults or ex football players, so it's important to have a view of someone who is outside just as a fan.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And anything else that you have to say about this?
I think sometimes you need a little bit of like naivete to really get a good prediction. Sometimes having too much experience will actually make you nervous about what.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Andre. I think that's a very good point. Sirius, any thoughts from you about this?
No, I completely agree with Joseph's point. You need a younger audience besides, adults and like real players. So.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. And anyways, moving right along and into our show. All right, so the first segment we're going to be covering is transfer business, and looking at the Premier League. Some teams have splashed the cash and made loads of signings. Other teams have made maybe one or two signings, and other teams have made no signings and have made zero movement in the window. But I think we should start at the biggest highlight, Chelsea Football Club. My word, they have done an exceptional job in solving so many of their issues. I mean, they brought in the likes of Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech, Malang Sarr on a free, Thiago Silva from PSG, a pretty high-profile defender. And, of course, the big one, just confirmed a day or two ago, Mr. Kai Havertz from Bayer Leverkusen. How good has Chelsea been this window?
Well, they've been the envy of all the other clubs. They've been able to get every player that they wanted, and it's been pretty tough to be a fan of another club than Chelsea, just because of all the business they've done this window.
Do you think this has to do with how good maybe their negotiators are, or maybe how efficient they are just in the window, their scouting departments? What do you, Andre, what do you guys think?
I think they just. I mean, it just comes down to to money. I think it's a lot.
That is true. That's very true. I mean, it is Abramovich, and yeah,
they've done intelligent business. You have other clubs that have also done intelligent business, but a lot of the times intelligent business is just trying to not get into a bidding war and just focusing on the player at hand and negotiations. But Chelsea are, 50 million on Chilwell. There aren't even that many clubs right now.
Oh yeah, fuck. Oh no, I forgot to even mention Chilwell. I forgot to mention Chilwell.
You have that. I mean, you have and then you have, 80 million on Kepa not that long ago. So it's weird to lose that much money on a keeper that.
Yeah, and yeah, apparently they're in negotiations for what's his name? The keeper from Rennes, Edouard Mendy. So they're looking at a goalkeeper as well, and apparently Declan Rice is also on that short list. So Chelsea they're ruthless in terms of in just efficiency and how and how well they get things done. Sirius, what about you? What do you think about Chelsea's elaborate summer spree under Frank Lampard?
I think it has to do a lot with last season, how they had a transfer ban. So, the owner really had to spend this year. I think that was really important last year.
That's a
They
great
still did
point.
well last year, getting top four. I mean, it's pretty amazing how they did that without any signings.
Exactly,
Really
and
respectable, to be honest.
yeah, and I think another point to add is that I don't think Chelsea would just would just pull the money out of just nowhere. You have to remember they sold Morata for 50 million pounds. They sold Eden Hazard for 100. So they were sitting on 150 million pounds for for the summer, and a little extra cash from Roman's pockets also did very well to help him out there. I'm moving around the Premier League. Let's move next into another big transfer. Manchester United signing Ajax midfielder Donny van de Beek. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was targeting him because the price of Jack Grealish was very expensive, and people and the fan base seems all around very happy with the signing. What do you guys make of this signing of Donny van de Beek?
Well, I think it's a really good signing because he's very versatile. He can play CDM, center mid, or cam. He's played all those positions last year at Ajax, and he's had a good return. He has something like 10 goals and 11 assists last season, which is really good. And he also he's a lot less than the English talent that's often overpriced in the Premier League. So he was cost us around 40 million, and we probably could have gotten Jack Grealish for around like 70 million. So I think it's a really good improvement on that.
Yeah, and I think a point to add at the end, and I also think, and I've heard a lot of people, a lot of fans criticize, Manchester United because they just made obvious signings. Yes, Wan-Bissaka is a good player. Yes, Harry Maguire is a good player. But people don't need a lot of brains to see and figure out that's a good deal. And to be honest with you, and fans have criticized like their lack of European scouting and just looking at the Premier League, and I think the signing has really given fans confidence that they do have a legitimate European scouting network and that they're capable of looking and finding talent from abroad of England and throughout the continent. And Andre and Sirius, so what do you guys think of Donny van de Beek? How good do you think he'll be at United?
I think he's gonna be really good. So now you have Embiid, Pogba, Bruno. That's a really good midfield. I think if all they can utilize that midfield, they can be really good this season. I would, if I was a Man U fan, I would expect them to be top four this season with that midfield.
I have to 100% agree with that. But I think if someone asked me, do I think Manchester United need more than Donny van de Beek, I'd say yes. I think they're still missing a right winger amid talks of Jadon Sancho throughout the entire summer. And that saga is still going on and on and on. Some people are on board with it. Some people don't agree. Some people are really confident. Some people aren't. But and they're also looking at a center back, hopefully, and a left back. I made rumors of Sergi Reguilon from Sevilla. And he's been linked with the move to Manchester United. Apparently, Real Madrid have offered him to United. And Andre, I just want to come to you. So, give me your thoughts on Donny van de Beek, and tell me, do you think Serge Reguilon would be a good fit for Manchester United, having some cover or competition for Luke Shaw?
Yeah, I don't know how much of a priority position it is for you guys, but I personally don't really rate Luke Shaw that much. So I think it's perfectly natural that he should have a little competition. I think it'll only push him further. It'll push the team farther. So I think Reguilon is ready for that step up, and I think he would fit at any side just fine, especially United.
Nah, I think that's a great point. It's very important to have competition in the club, and using Luke Shaw as that example, I think. I think when Brandon Williams was brought through, it really helped Luke Shaw, give him the kick up the backside he needed, and before Brandon Williams was so right-footed, and he was playing left back and he was playing decently well. I think it gave him the kick up the backside, and I think just looking at that, it's very important to have competition and throughout a squad. Anyways, moving away from Manchester United, let's move to Arsenal, and Arsenal have signed Brazilian duo Gabriel, center back from Lille, for 25 million euros, and they've signed free agent Willian. Now, Sirius, give me your thoughts on the signings of Gabriel and Willian. How do you think he'll fit in? Do you think Arteta will start them every game? What do you think Arteta's thinking about these two players, Sirius?
I don't expect Willian to start every game. I think maybe if he gets a couple of good run-ins, he will. The thing about Willian is sometimes he can be inconsistent with his performances. With Gabriel, like I'm happy with center back Saliba, him. I'm hoping he can be successful. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see what he does. For Willian, it's also important with Martinelli. He can help develop his game. I think that's super important because Martinelli is going to be a key piece later in our future.
Yeah.
There's still some key pieces missing, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Sirius. And I have some Arsenal friends of mine who don't rate Willian, and some of them say, "Oh, Willian's past it. Oh, it's another Chelsea reject." And I think when you look at the bigger picture, Martinelli's going to be out injured, and as well as having Martinelli, you have Saka, you have Reece Nelson, and they're still young, they're coming through, and I think it's important for and they can't play every game, and I think it's important to have a guy with experience, just shut off that experience a little bit. And I think these youngsters need, an arm wrapped around them. And I think that's why Mikel Arteta's brought Willian in. And I think that's a very, very good signing for them in terms of what they need. Now, moving on to Tottenham Hotspur, and they have signed Matt Doherty from Wolverhampton. Sorry if I mean Doherty, and trust me, I get names wrong all the time. I'll throw my hands up for that. Matt Doherty, whatever you want to call him, from Wolverhampton, the right wing back from Wolverhampton, and they've also signed Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from Southampton, if I got the name right. A central midfielder. I can already see our little Tottenham supporter shaking his head. Andre, I'd like you to give me your thoughts on the signings of Højbjerg and Doherty from Southampton and Wolves, respectively. How do you think they'll fit in the side? And especially looking at Doherty's position at Wolves, he was playing a right wing back role. Do you think Jose Mourinho will teach him how will easily convert him back into that right back slot, or do you think it'll be a challenge? What do you have to say about Doherty and Højbjerg?
Yeah, I think it's all intelligent business. I mean, 13.5 million for Doherty is a steal, and yeah, he'll be going back to a back four. But you also think about the way Jose plays lately, and he's had, yes, he plays a back four, but he's also had Davies and whoever the two center backs are kind of sit back, and we've attacked from one flank. That's how Aurier was able to do so well. So I think if we keep kind of that back three with Davies, whoever the center backs are, with Toby, Tunganga, whoever it is, then Doherty won't have to adjust too much because he'll still have the liberty to attack. He's still kind of a right wing back makeshift. He's not going to have to adjust that much. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, I think it's just he's so smart when it comes to pressing. And I remember when we lost to Southampton, he was probably the reason why. Their pressing was so strong that day. So I think I've seen some of the friendlies, and you see Højbjerg pushing the team forward to press, even in the Mourinho side. It's like I got flashbacks from like 2015-16 Tottenham from seeing the way we were pressing. Yeah, it's not going to be a Liverpool press, but it's an efficient press, and it's working. So I think that's what Højbjerg's been brought in to do. Then you have another obvious signing, Joe Hart, which I know is banter and whatnot, but we needed a homegrown, and he's better than Rob Green or whoever the hell other club signed. So Joe Hart, we need a leader. He's a league winner. So for me, it's a no-brainer. And he's on less than half his wage than he had at Burnley. So I've been happy with the window. Extremely happy.
Yeah, and I think it's important and I think with Tottenham, and I think they lack depth in serious positions, like for example the striking position, and we clearly saw what happened last season when when of course Trey Markle scorer Harry Kane got injured, when Son got injured, and when Brazilian Lucas Moura just wasn't on his best. There really wasn't a whole lot of options, and Mourinho wasn't, whether he wasn't a fan or whether he wasn't playing Troy Parrott, he wasn't giving him chances. I think it's important that they sign the striker as well if Tottenham are to compete this season. I think that's very important, and I think they should look at someone in the center back department as well as Tanganga is doing. You can't be playing, Tanganga, 36, however many games are in a row. It's just you can't run young players into the ground, and that's very evident with Daniel James. And when Daniel James came in, I think by just his opening performance, and people forget how well he's doing. He was going crazy in August. He was scoring goals almost every single game, and I think Solskjaer just thought, oh, you're going to be first team every week. And he just ran Daniel James into the ground. Did the same with Marcus Rashford, and even to an extent he did the same with Harry Maguire. And I think it's important to have just depth all on the pitch, and you have players to cover those positions. Anyways, moving along quickly. Liverpool made I think just one signing. The left back. What's his name? What's his name? Yes. From Olympiacos, Manchester. Yeah, I can't speak. Manchester City signing Nathan Ake from Bournemouth for £14 million, and Ferran Torres for around £30 million, and still heavily linked with Kalidou Koulibaly, and of course the one that City fans have been wanting to see for years upon years, but it looks set to not happen. But they are craving for Lionel Messi to come to Manchester City and play alongside Sergio Aguero and be under Pep Guardiola. But of course that won't happen, as he has committed his short-term future to Barca for at least the remaining year of his contract. Moving to Everton, they have signed Brazilian midfielder Allen from Napoli, a well thought of midfielder throughout Europe. They are looking to sign 29-year-old playmaker James Rodriguez from Real Madrid.
Yeah, he actually just signed.
Oh, they already just signed him.
Yes.
Thank you for telling me that. Of course, playing under his links and relationships with Ancelotti, the reason why he's there, because of and guys, let's face it, if he wasn't there, I don't think James Rodriguez would be going anywhere near a move to Everton. I think his relationship with Ancelotti is just too strong. Is there any other transfer news that we're missing here, or have we pretty much covered it?
I don't know if you guys know. It was just announced 3 hours ago, but Newcastle signed free agent, so they're bringing up all
Callum Wilson as well, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, they've signed Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser. I remember he was linked. Callum Wilson was linked to move to. He was linked to move to United many times. He was linked to move with Chelsea 2 years ago under Sarri, and he was linked with the move to Tottenham earlier in the window. And for me, going to Newcastle, I don't know. I mean, £20 million for Callum Wilson. I don't get me wrong. I like Callum Wilson. I think he's a decent striker. But do I think he maybe could have moved to a better club? Yes, I think maybe moving to a team like Tottenham would actually do him better, because he'd be playing more or less immediate backup to Harry Kane, and yes, it's backup, but if something happened to Harry Kane, and we know Harry Kane gets his seasonal injuries every season, and Son's best positions out wide, and same as Lucas Moura, and I think if Callum Wilson were in that side, I think it would do him a lot better.
And he's 28, and it's like it's surprising me that he didn't say, I want to, get my run in European football. But at the end of the day, I don't think it was up to him. I think it was just a lack of funds from Tottenham. It was too risky with Callum Wilson's injury record. He didn't put up too many numbers last season. So I think that's the reason that he ultimately went to Newcastle. But yeah, I just think it wasn't his decision ultimately.
I think it's great business by Newcastle.
Yeah,
because definitely
a front line of Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, and Alan Saint-Maximin, I think it's going to be really good next season for them.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. And in terms of where Newcastle want to be, I think signing those players will help them get forward. And apparently, I've heard that they have put in a bid for highly rated Norwich left back Jamal Lewis, and apparently, a bid is close to being accepted. So I think Newcastle, whether people like to say Mike Ashley spends money or not, I mean, he clearly is trying to do a job here, whether he wants to be there or not, whether it's, whether they're being, financially endorsed by their, by those Saudis who were meant to take over them. Um, but yeah, and now moving into just a couple of transfer moves I wanted to cover, just some of the big ones I wanted to cover. There have been 2 or 3 rumors that have definitely stuck out to me, and I've definitely wanted to hear your thoughts, on and off camera, of how my opinions on them. And the first one I want to cover: Declan Rice to Chelsea. Now, Declan Rice, he's 21 years old. He was a Chelsea Youth Academy product, and before he made the move to West Ham, and apparently Chelsea and Super Frank want him back. Is that a hit or a miss, and why?
For me, you go ahead. You go ahead. You go, Andre.
Well, let's just name the defensive middle options that Chelsea have right now. Who do they have? They have, I guess,
Christensen and Christensen, Zuma, and sorry, Chelsea fans, with all due respect, Christensen and Zuma, as you've seen from last season, with all due respect again to Chelsea fans, they didn't have that great of a season last year. Lampard had to rotate them, and he had the youngster Filicaio Tomori coming through. I know Chelsea fans are very excited about their youth players, and Antonio Rudiger, of course, being their main center back. Cesar Azpilicueta's been moved there when playing in a back three. And now they've got Malang Sarr, whether they send him on loan or not, and Thiago Silva. Where does Declan Rice fit into this Chelsea team?
I don't think he does, because I think they have Jorginho and Conte playing CDM, and then if you play him center back, you've got Thiago Silva, Rudiger, Christensen, Zuma, all looking for a place. And I think he's too good to not be starting games in the Premier League. I think he should go to a team where he can start games every week.
Sirius, what about you? What do you think about Declan Rice, Chelsea?
I think it's a miss, to be honest. I know, he left the club when he was 14. He knows it, but Chelsea have too many options there. I think, I think they have solid options now with all their signings. I think he does have to get out of West Ham. I'm just not sure where, because I don't think he's going to improve at all under West Ham.
Yeah, and I agree. I think if but looking at, but the problem is when Manchester United spent £80 million on Harry Maguire, now all these smaller clubs are looking at that fee, and when clubs come in for their coming in for their big names, clubs are more or less saying, hey, Manchester United spent £80 million on Harry Maguire, and you look at Declan Rice, he's worth around what, like 30, 40, maybe £50 million. Would you guys agree? We're probably around £50 million, would you say? But West Ham have turned around and said, nope, 80, 90 million. It's not happening unless if a club spends such big amount of money, and that's exactly what Leicester did with Harry Maguire. But the thing is, the reason why I bring this up is because if you remember, Chelsea, when they asked for Chilwell, Leicester said nope, 80, 90. Chelsea signed him for almost half the price. And looking at other clubs, I mean that must be embarrassing for a club like Manchester United when you look at what they had to spend to get Harry Maguire and Chilwell, who's rated higher than Harry Maguire, who's probably worth more than Harry Maguire. They got him for almost half the price, and I think when you look at that, it comes to negotiations and things like that. I don't know why I said it twice, but anyways, the next transfer rumor, and I know off camera, I've been getting a lot of stick about just my thoughts on this so far. And a part of me says, it was something could still happen, but probably the transfer that has been dragging on probably since the entirety of last summer, Jadon Sancho to not Chelsea, because they're linked with everybody, but to Manchester United. All of you, tell me, do you think this will be a hit or a miss, and why? or do
Well, I
you not know?
Well, not too sure how certain commentators think it's going to happen. Dortmund are asking for a large sum. I think it's a fair sum, but it's a large sum. But I th- it's great money.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. A lot of people do. But I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna work out. I know the club president said he's gonna stay. He said with Dembele. Dembele turns out he left, but I don't know. I just have a good feeling it won't happen.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's not a question of like it being a hit or a miss. It's a dream transfer. I think of course it would be a hit. It's Jadon Sancho, and I mean he's probably ready for that move back to the Prem. But I don't think it'll happen this window. But I would stay optimistic if I were a United fan.
And apparently, what some pundits are saying, it's either going for Sancho now, or it's face competition from some of the biggest sides in the Premier League, and not just the Premier League, but you've got Real Madrid and Barcelona and PSG and these teams that are ambitious and maybe looking for rebuilds, and they're looking at signing players like that. All right. Anyways, let's jump into the upcoming fixtures. And next week there are 8 games being played next week. Let's start off with our predictions. All right, first game, Fulham versus Arsenal. For me personally, I predict for an Arsenal win. I think they're again highlighting their summer signings. I think Pepe and Willian and whether Aubameyang signs a new contract or not, and Lacazette, and you have all these options. And I think, of course, I just don't think Fulham really have that much of a chance, to be honest with you. So I'm going with an Arsenal win.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's pretty simple. Arsenal's attack is going to be too good for Fulham's defense. I think Aubameyang will have a field day.
And
Yeah, I agree as well. I'm not quite sure what the Arsenal starting lineup will be. It's kind of changed, but I think definitely with whatever lineup will win.
Andre?
yeah, I think sadly it'll be an Arsenal win. I think they'll just be stronger. Fulham, I think will need time to get in their groove, especially just all over the pitch. So yeah, Arsenal win.
All right. All right. That was a pretty universal decision there. The next game, it might be a little more difficult. The next game is Crystal Palace against Southampton. For me, when you look at Crystal Palace, there's one name that just sticks out in everybody's minds. The man who's just, in my opinion, who's just been carrying them in goals and assists, or not assists, but goals definitely. Whether Wilfred Zaha is there or not, I think Crystal Palace will come away with a win. And yeah, I think Crystal Palace will come away with a win in that one. But again, these two sides are so inconsistent. You really don't know what you'll get from either side, and that's kind of the problem here. I think a draw is very, very likely, but I think Crystal Palace will most likely, will ultimately pull out a win here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tie as well. And, I think Zaha actually has to step it up a little bit. Last season wasn't that great, 4 goals, 3 assists.
Yeah, you make a very good point.
Actually, yeah, his worst season in a couple of seasons. And I think if he steps it up for sure, Crystal Palace will win. But, I'm not sure, so I'm going to go with a tie.
Okay.
I would agree. I would say it's a tie. I think both teams might score, so I think Danny Ings might get on the score sheet. But I think both teams
Yeah,
will
good
score.
point. Yeah, I forgot about Danny Ings, and he's had a season of a lifetime since leaving Liverpool last year. He's been called up to the England squad, and he's just, I don't know. It's like the Danny Ings of old, like the Danny Ings we saw at Burnley. And that's the Danny Ings we're seeing right now, and I think it's kind of incredible to see that form back with him. Andre, what do you think? Crystal Palace, Southampton.
Yeah, I think Hodgson will manage to grind out a win out of Southampton, and I think Southampton will fail right now, but I think this loss, their first game of the season, and it's a loss, that will be the thing that pushes Hasenhüttl's men to be strong and keep going, keep
Yeah.
fighting. Palace is just they're aggressive and their attack is looking ever stronger now.
Yeah, and going on about their coach Rob Hasenhüttl, I think he's one of the most underrated managers in the Premier League. I mean, I think he's such a tactically astute coach. I mean, he came in from an RB Leipzig, if I'm not wrong. He came from RB Leipzig, and he's and I think if it were for him, I think Southampton would be a lot worse than they are now. And I mean, this guy, I think he's I think he's a very tactically class coach. I think he's I think it won't be long before bigger clubs might come knocking on Southampton's door for his services potentially. But yeah, I think he's a manager to look out for the future. Anyways, moving on to the next game, West Ham versus Newcastle. Now, I think West Ham, personally for me, I think they're just a very, very poor side overall. I think they're and I think in terms of their board, and I think they're a very poorly run club. And I think Newcastle, yes, both clubs in similarities, actually, they're very poorly run. But I think Newcastle's productivity in the window, maybe getting Jamal Lewis, signing Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser, I think Newcastle will definitely come out with a win.
Yeah, I think a Newcastle win definitely. I think West Ham are because of talent like Haller and Felipe Anderson and Suchek and Antonio, but they often don't get results, and I think this game has Newcastle win.
I agree with you guys. I think it's a Newcastle win. I hope St. Maximum is good this season. Wasn't great last season, but it's his first year, so hopefully he's good this season. That'd be super fun for Newcastle. He's a good player, only 23.
Yeah, and you definitely make a good point with first season. I mean, how many players have we seen it with? How many? We've seen it with Victor Lindelof. We've seen it with Nicola Pepe. We've seen it with Fred. We've seen it with so many players in their first seasons. On the flip side, some players who never play in the Premier League come in and they hit the ground running. But we don't really know. Hopefully, St. Maximin will be in better form this season. I think if that's the case, I think Newcastle's objective is just to finish like a top 10 finish. I think they'll get there. Andre, what about you? What do you think about this game, West Ham Newcastle?
It's hard to predict. I think it is early, and I don't think we have too good of an idea of either side. But I do think Manuel Pellegrini is a contender for sack race. I'm not sure he'll last the season.
Manuel Pellegrini is no longer the manager of West Ham. Remember, it's David Moyes.
Oh.
David Moyes is back at the helm.
Sorry, I was thinking Moyes. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sorry. No, I think Moyes is up for sacking this season, so I think I'm actually gonna go West Ham for this.
Okay.
I think they'll. It's really hard to predict, but I think it'll be I'll go for West Ham.
Okay. The next match that we have is Liverpool versus Leeds, and just by assumptions, I think the common result will be the common prediction will be pretty common around. I think Liverpool will maybe not comfortably, but they will win. You look at their team and you look at what they did. When you look at Liverpool, right, and when you look at in terms of just their negotiating tactics, I think they're spot on. Mid-season, they sold one of their best players in Philippe Coutinho for £142 million. And what did they do with that money? They needed a goalkeeper. They spent 70 million of it on Alisson, and then they spent 75 million on it on what is now people see as the world's best defender in Virgil van Dijk. And they spent, I think, an additional 30 million on Fabinho, and they spent a little more money on Shaqiri. And I think that window was a brilliant window. I think that was brilliant thinking from Liverpool. And I think, and with the depth that they have in their midfield and their attack and their defense, it's unbelievable. And I think Liverpool will almost comfortably stroll in and will just take 3 points away from Ellen Lane. What do you guys think?
I think it's gonna be close. I think at least it'll be close. I think Bielsa's done a really, really good job at Leeds, and I think at least in this game, that Leeds will be competitive. I'm almost even tempted to go for like a draw, but I think Liverpool will win still.
Yeah, and that's a good point to not forget. I mean, Bielsa's done a brilliant job at Leeds. I think ever since he's come in, he's really just changed the complexion and the way they play. Yeah, I think, as you said, I don't think it will be a comfortable. I take it back what I said earlier. I don't think it'll be a comfortable win for Liverpool, but I think Liverpool, just with the quality that they have on the pitch, it'll be overwhelmingly difficult for Leeds to just handle that. And I'm serious. What's your prediction for this game?
Yeah, I think Liverpool also win. It's not going to be a comfortable one. I think it's going to be close. Liverpool, ever since, they're set to win the Premier League, they haven't actually been in great form, to be honest. But, I think just you're right with the quality, they'll definitely win. But it's not going to be like, I don't know. It's not going to be like
Norwich.
I think it's going to be like competitive. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And Andre, what do you think?
I think Bielsa will take this match more seriously than he will the whole season. I think Bielsa would love to spoil things for first match day on.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So I think Leeds will give them trouble, and maybe and hopefully they can grind out a draw and just salvage a point. I think.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
I think I'm gonna go draw.
Okay. Not everybody's on the Liverpool win train, but I mean, fair enough. And this is a channel, and quick thing, this is a channel where all opinions are welcome, and regardless of what your opinion is, and I think it's important. It's an important point to say, I think it's very ignorant when people think oh, you're stupid for this or having this sort of opinion, and I think yes, I mean, there's some opinions where it's just, come on, you gotta have some common sense. But I think everybody has the right to their own opinion, and this podcast and this channel will be all about on all sorts of opinions. We're all open ears. We're all in for a variety of opinions. What do you guys think about that? Do you think people should really encourage just open opinion about just anything in terms of our podcast and our topics?
Of course, I think that's really important. Definitely.
Serious, what do you think about this?
Yeah, for sure.
And Andre?
Yeah, I guess if you genuinely believe in whatever, then screw it. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want too much. If it's too much, we shouldn't qualify too much banter. Is where I guess I'm headed. But yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'm all in for banter, and I think banter's a very good thing.
Yeah.
And when it goes over the top, I think there has to be a certain point where it goes too far. Anyways, and getting back on track where we were. The next match is West Brom versus Leicester. Now, I think that it's going to be, a pretty general around results, regardless if Leicester bring in a new left back to replace Chilwell, amid talks of Tagliafico and I've heard Kieran Tierney, which I don't think will happen. I mean, he's such an important piece to that, Arsenal defense. But what do you guys think? I think Leicester will come in and will take care of business, and they'll come away with 3 points almost comfortably.
Yeah, Leicester win for me. 2-1 maybe. I don't know. I think it'll be just a predictable, just typical match. I think Leicester will come away with it.
Yeah, I think Leicester will win as well. Vardy had a great season last season, so hopefully he continues that. Yeah,
he's one of the most consistent players in the Premier League, Jamie Vardy, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think in terms of what he does on the pitch, and the manager Brendan Rodgers, he's again like I said about Ralph from Southampton. I can't say his last name for my life, but when we talk about tactically astute managers, I think again, I mean, he was linked with that Arsenal job back in November when they sacked Unai Emery for a reason. I think he's a very tactically astute coach, and this Leicester side, of course, they have a best formation, best 11. But I've seen this 11. I've seen this Leicester side play so many different formations. I've seen playing a 4-3-3, a 4-3-2-1, a 4-1-4-1. a 4-3-2-1. They played 3 at the back. They played 5 at the back. I mean, and I think, and regardless, this team's still able to perform, and I think that's a pretty amazing thing. When you never know what formation you're playing, each week, and if you're a player on that Leicester team, and you're probably thinking the same thing, I think it's what Brendan Rodgers has done for that club. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And Jose, what do you think about West Brom and Leicester City?
Easy Leicester win, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a straightforward one. And next, one that's not as straightforward. Tottenham Hotspur versus Everton. Now, I think Everton will win. No, I'm joking. And I was just saying that to rile up Andre a little bit, because he is, of course, a Tottenham fan. Just rile him up a bit, but no. But I don't think it will be easy. It will definitely not be an easy match. Everton are especially with Ancelotti, they have a very, very experienced, and again, another tactically astute coach. Some people say he's past it, but I think the business that he's done in the summer, especially signing James Rodriguez and Allen, and they got Luca Digne, and whatever people want to say about Jordan Pickford, he's still England's recognized number one. Whether people again think he should still be or not, they still have players like players like Bernard and of course up front, they're two main players, they're two big guys, Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and I think that's going to be a big threat to Spurs. But again, I think just Tottenham's overwhelming amount of quality on the pitch, I think that will help them win this game. Well, what do you guys think?
I would say a draw. I think that Tottenham will play on the front foot, but I think Everton with Decore, Alan, Michael Keane at the back.
Oh yeah, Decore. Yeah, that's a good one.
I think they're going to be tough to break down.
Oh, definitely.
And I think that they also got attacking presence now with Richarlison and James. So I think it'll be a draw.
Seriously, what do you think?
I'm totally non-biased. I think it will be a draw as well. Actually, the previous 2 fixtures were a draw as well, 2-2, 1-1. So
yeah, fair point.
I think so.
Good play from our Arsenal fan here. And Andre, what do you think? Do you think Tottenham will come in and take care of business, or do you think Everton will be all over them? Draw. What do you think?
I think Everton is another one of those clubs that struggles for organization right now, at least from what I've seen from them. So I think if we do genuinely play like extremely on the front foot, like maybe we did it in the preseason friendlies, then yeah, I think they'll be tough to break through. But I'm confident that we'll come away with the win. I'd be surprised if we don't. Was Decore confirmed? I didn't know he was.
I'm not sure. If the transfer Don himself, Fabrizio Romano, has said something, then it probably has happened. And for people who don't know, Fabrizio Romano is a top class, and in my opinion, the number one transfer journalist there is out there in the world. And anything he says, it's always true. It's 100% correct. He has links everywhere, and for me, I think he's like the most reliable person out there. Even more reliable than ESPN in my opinion. But this is all for opinion. But yeah, if he had said something, maybe you guys saw or something or not, but I'm not sure. But I think this deal will happen. The last thing I heard, he got confirmed.
They're trying to finalize those. So
okay. All right. Well, it seems like that's. Go on.
Just saying 25 million. It says.
Okay, and I think for 25 million pounds, it's not bad. When considering Man City spent almost 40 million pounds on Nathan Ake, and with all due respect to Nathan Ake, who's a very good up and coming player in terms of what he has to offer and what he's learning, but the price tag for Nathan Ake, a relegated center back from a relegated team, if this were like, I don't know, maybe 20, probably the same price as Decore, like 25, 30 million pounds, I wouldn't really have a problem with it. But I think 40 million pounds is a bit pricey. It's a bit pushing. But again, it's not my money. It's the Sheikhs from Abu Dhabi's money. It's Man City's money. So I mean, I can't really be one to judge, and we don't really know how he'll do. I mean, he's a proven Premier League center back. So yeah. Anyways, and the next match we are going to look at is one that could definitely go either way. Sheffield United versus Wolves. I mean, both of these teams for me, the problem is consistency. And for me, and as good as these teams were last year, I think when you look at Sheffield United, a huge part of that was Manchester United loanee Dean Henderson. I mean that's the reason why he was superb last year. That's why he's in the England squad with his performances for Sheffield United, and amazingly, I mean, and Chris Wilder, who's in my opinion a British Jose Mourinho. He very much relies on hitting teams on the break and on the counterattack. But this is a manager who more or less has a predominantly British core, if you think about it. Not a whole lot of international players. With they have the likes of with the French striker Muse and Sanderberg coming in from Norway. I think, and Wolves play the same way. And they've got their men like Raul Jimenez and Adama Traore and Diego Jota and Ruben Neves are more great players. And for me, I mean, I think this one might be a draw in my opinion, but I think if one team had to win, I think Wolves would probably just edge it. What do you guys say about Wolves and Sheffield United?
I think this is tough to predict because last season Wolves had a really slow start in the Premier League, and at the restart, Sheffield United struggled for form. So both teams coming after a period of absence of playing competitively, it's going to be tough for both of them to be in their best form. But I think with the quality of players Wolves have, that they'll edge this game.
And yeah, I think that's a very good point. In terms of what you said there, I mean both sides have their key players, and yeah, I think that's a great way to say it. Sirius, going over to you, Sheffield United versus Wolves.
I think it's a tough one. One finished 7th, the other finished 9th. I think it's gonna be a draw, to be honest. I'm not quite sure what's gonna happen. Also Wolves signed I think his name is Fabio Silva, striker.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
Their new record transfer.
Yeah, so we'll see how he does. Him and Jimenez could be good.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point to make. Whether he'll be another Patrick Catrone and will sit on the bench, or whether he'll be serious competition for the likes of Raul Jimenez. And Andre, Sheffield United versus Wolves. What's your thoughts on that?
To me, they're both clubs that are simply just hard to go against. They both play. I mean, they both play.
Yeah, they're both very defensively organized. Very.
It's hard to see either of them that play on the front foot until you consider that Wolves have players like Raul Jimenez, Diego Jota. So I think that's what edges it for me, and I think Wolves will eventually break through and still keep it difficult for Sheffield United.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point to make. I think just the quality on the pitch for Wolves, I think it's and I think Nuno Espirito Santo has done a great job, especially coming up from the Championship and guiding the Wolves in their first season to Europa League football, and then of course I think they're in the Europa League again, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not wrong, I think they are, or are they not?
They're not.
Oh, my bad. I thought they were, but still two, in my opinion, two great seasons for Wolves. Of course, they were a little better last year than they were this year, but yeah, I think two good substantial seasons. It's been two good substantial seasons for Wolves, and Sheffield United, of course, they're going to be in Europa League football. But then they fell off a little bit towards the end of the year. They lost some of that consistency. And did they finish 9th, I believe? 9th or 10th?
9th.
Yeah, they finished 9th.
I know Arsenal was 8th, so.
Okay, make a good point. All right. And looking at that last game, or the last game of Matchday 1, Brighton and Chelsea. Well, and I think across the board, I don't think there's any argument. I think just again, the quality that Chelsea have and the depth that they have. They have. I mean, if you look at their striking department, of course, I know not all of these are going to be top class strikers, but I mean, but I mean, when you look at their striking department, they have three definite first team quality strikers. They have, of course, their big summer signing Timo Werner. They have Tammy Abraham, who people like to say they're not. Yeah, he had an inconsistent season, but I think he had a very good season in my opinion. Tammy Abraham. And you have the veteran striker Olivier Giroud, who brings something a little different to Chelsea, who brings this hold-up play, as we saw in the 2018 World Cup, as he brings players in. And if you look at their midfields, I think it's incredible that they have. They have Kovacic, Jorginho, who's not my favorite. And with all due respect to Jorginho, I think he's kind of like an Italian Mark Noble in my opinion, just in like his role and like the way he plays. With all due respect to our Chelsea fans out there, and I think Jorginho, if he stays, I think he'll get better. But this is how I see him right now. Of course, you have their big man N'Golo Kante, who's so important to that Chelsea team, who's so good at protecting that back four and who's super mobile. And then you have the likes of Ross Barkley, you have Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and you have Billy Gilmore. Coming through the ranks. Chelsea just have a wide variety and options in their midfield, and even at left back. And now you have Chilwell, Marcos Alonso, and Emerson. Whether I think Frank Lampard will get rid of one of those two most likely. All on the pitch they have just a great quality of depth. Whoops, and I forgot. Frank Lampard's boy, Mr. Mason Mount. I almost forgot. I can't forget about Mason, but I think it'll be tough for him to get into this Chelsea team. Anyways, Chelsea versus Brighton. What do you guys think? I'm gonna guess, is it a pretty unanimous agreement?
Yeah, probably Chelsea win. I'd say like 3-0, something like that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Serious, Andre, what do you guys think?
I think it's tough luck for Brighton that this is their first match of the season, because I think they're an exciting side this season with the players they brought in.
Tarek Lamptey. I've been impressed by him. The right back they brought him from Chelsea. I very much like him. I think he's going to be one to watch for the future. And serious.
From Ajax, obviously Lallana. So I think and Chris Potter. Like at the beginning of last season, they started really well, 3-0 on the first day. So I just think they'll be exciting this season, but they'll have to do it with a loss.
Again, I agree with that. And serious, what about you? Chelsea versus Brighton.
I think for sure Chelsea is going to be exciting to see their new signings play. That's for sure. I think it's going to be a comfortable win, to be honest.
All right. So that is all that we have right now for the fixtures this week, as teams like Manchester City and Manchester United don't play till the following week. And speaking briefly about Manchester City and Manchester United, what do you think those two teams need to look for, and in terms of tactics, in terms of personalities, what do you think these two sides need to look for, starting with Manchester City?
I think it's pretty simple for them. They need a top quality center back. I think as long as they get Koulibaly, I think they'll be good in that department. They really just need him, and then I think they'll be definitely challenging Liverpool again this season. How do
you think City should be setting up on the pitch? What do you think their best 11 could be or should be with Koulibaly? It's assuming that Koulibaly arrives at Manchester City.
I think Koulibaly and Laporte are definitely nailed on as the two center backs. I think wide you can go with, I think Cancelo is playing really well on the left in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And Walker's been pretty consistent on the right. In the midfield, you could go with obviously De Bruyne, Rodri. Fernandinho can still probably play there anyway. And even Bernardo, I think I definitely rate Bernardo as a central player rather than a
Uh,
player on the
I think he's better through the middle. I mean, his playmaking abilities, I think, are just phenomenal. For me, I think, yeah, and Bernardo Silva was a steal from Monaco when they signed him in, and the Shark Man, Benjamin Mendy, from Monaco, at that time. Yeah, and of course up front, I mean, they have so much depth up front. I mean, I think Riyad Mahrez, when people saw him as a benchmark, I think he's better than Bernardo Silva. In my opinion, I think Riyad Mahrez is second.
Definitely a right wing, but better than Bernardo.
And of course, you have, and then you have Raheem Sterling, who, and I feel a bit sorry for Raheem Sterling. I think this season really, I think he had a relatively disappointing season last year in terms of his standards. Because the season and then the season before that, I think he was on fire. I think he was up there. I mean, people are probably gonna think I'm crazy for this, or say I'm deluded or something, but I think he could have been up then maybe top 10 for Ballon d'Or in the top 10. Not like the top 5, but top 10 in terms of his form. I mean, I think he was second tonight. He got Player of the Year, I think, the year before, or in the 2018-19 season. I mean, he had a stellar season that year. And then, of course, you have their main man, Sergio Aguero, who's gonna still do what he does best, which is score goals, be an absolute thorn in teams' defenses, and of course you have Gabriel Jesus to cover that role if need be. But yeah, serious Andre, what do you think will be important for Manchester City?
They got a great lineup now. If the center back comes in, you also have Ake who can come in. He's a good replacement. I think it was actually a good signing. Some people don't, but I know Laporte sometimes he can get injured at times. So I think Man City have a strong case for the Premier League title, if I'm being honest, with all their talent.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just a matter of them finding a way to get their whole squad involved, because obviously they have those special players, but the rest of their squad is just so strong. So it's going to be a matter of being able to really get the best out of Cancelo, to really get the best out of Foden also.
Yeah, Phil Foden.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah,
I don't want
definitely.
them to rely too much on their players like Aguero, De Bruyne, those players. I want to see a well-rounded side like we saw the first year they won the title.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a very good point you make, and especially towards coming out of lockdown, and you definitely saw Phil Foden play a lot more, and he's such a talented young player, as we clearly saw. Some of the goals he scored are unreal. I think he scored one against Arsenal. Sorry, Sirius. He scored one against Arsenal. He played very well against Real Madrid in the Champions League. And then I think he scored another one. Was it against Liverpool? I think he scored one against Liverpool. And so that's it for Manchester City. Manchester United. Manchester United and their boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer have looked to rebuild a couple areas on the pitch, specifically, and they have been forever for my life linked to Borussia Dortmund winger Jadon Sancho, and Ole has been persistent that is his top target, and he reportedly has told Ed to fix it and get that deal done, and apparently he is looking at Sergi Reguilon from Real Madrid, as United have been offered him, and they are looking at another center back to come in, as Chris Smalling's departure is looming, in my opinion, and as I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer really rates Marcos Rojo and Phil Jones. I don't think they're United standard anymore, compared to when they first came in. I think if they want to take the next step, I think that's what they need to do, and I think in terms of their midfield, they have a very good midfield. Although I do think they could be devoid of that true central defensive midfielder. I mean, you look at Matic. Yes, Matic is older and he doesn't have the legs he used to have, but I think how calm he is on the ball and his calming influence on the team. I think that's so key compared to compared to when you see Fred or McTominay. And with all due respect to Fred and McTominay, I think both of them will definitely get better under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but they just don't have that calming influence that Matic does. And anyways, what do you guys think Manchester United need to look for, or in terms of tactics, transfers? What do you guys think that that they're going to need to look for, considering that them and City have a week off till they first play?
I think they need to sign Sancho, and I think they need to get a center back in. I think center back is way more important than left back, and left back is what we're looking at right now, apparently, with Reguilon. But I think, although we don't have cover for Shaw, I think it's definitely more important that we get a center back in, because Lindelof was just nowhere near good enough last season.
Yeah, and that partnership of Lindelof and Maguire, for me, it doesn't work. And as Jose and I saw throughout the season, and we've been very frustrated with the fact how Lindelof and Maguire just don't really complement each other at all. And as a matter of fact, it's like having two Maguires or two Lindelofs playing in the back. Both very good on the ball. Both like to Maguire very good in the air. Lindelof is good in the air, but neither of them at pace. So when you play against let's take Everton for example. When you have players that with a lot of pace, like and you have forwards like Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin, it's gonna mean trouble for two center backs, because neither of them are that quick. And I think, and as Jose rightly put, we need a center back that's first of all left-footed, because throughout the latter stages of the season, we were just playing a back four of just all right-footed players, and you need and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer likes his center backs to split, especially on goal kicks. He definitely likes them to split apart, and I think it's important to have a left-footed center back and a left-footed left back. But I think that's spot on what you said. Serious. What do you think Manchester United need to look for on the
Definitely
pitch?
center back. You guys are right. Partnership, Lindelof and Maguire. I don't think it quite works out. Something positive. Dean Henderson, the signing. I think De Gea will play much better. To be honest, I think he'll give him a run for his money. I think that's super important. You have all this talent. Speaking. When we were talking about Phil Foden, I remember just today. Phil Foden and Greenwood got dropped from the team. They're young. I don't think.
Definitely they're young. I think you're again. I think Sears was absolutely brilliantly spot on there, and it shows that that players like Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood. They need the experience to just wrap an arm around them and just look at them and say, hey, don't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. That's not something you should be doing. And I think, and I don't think this is going to be the end for them, for Gareth Southgate. Gareth Southgate just doesn't strike me as someone who will just never recall someone up again. I just don't think he's that kind of person. But I think this is a good learning experience for them. I think they'll learn from their mistakes and hopefully we'll see them back in the England squad sometime soon, starring for their nation. And I think both of them will be both players will be one to watch, or two to watch. You should say, two to watch for the upcoming season. Andre, and finally, Andre, what do you think Manchester United need to look for, maybe on the pitch, tactically, off the pitch? What do you think?
I think the fullbacks they have now aren't known for their attacking abilities. Wan-Bissaka is obviously a class right back, but he's a ball winner. He's rather defensive, and his attacking abilities are questioned a lot, and I think rightfully.
I 100% agree with that.
I think we've seen with modern football now, we see, we'll have the fullbacks come up the pitch like you do with Liverpool City, and then we'll have like the number 6, like a deep lying midfielder, cover the center backs. I do think United need to be inventive and say, maybe that's just not for us. I think we should keep our solid back four, but let's just have a crazy, innovative midfield that can do it all.
That's a great point.
But that's what I think is the next step for United. I think they have to find their own identity. They can't keep doing what they're doing now and only break on the counterattack and be iffy in possession, rely on Bruno Fernandes. Like, I don't know. There's a lot that is questioned right now, and I think they have to find their identity, and I think they have to be innovative. And that's if they keep the squad they have now.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, and especially when you said about modern day fullbacks, and I think the signing like of a Jadon Sancho will ease Wan-Bissaka's need to go forward, and as you saw when you see with Liverpool, as Aaron Wan-Bissaka often gets thrown into the comparison with Trent Alexander-Arnold,
They're completely different players. They're both class, but they're different.
they're both amazing. They're both amazing right backs, and let's be clear. If both of them had a kid, I think you'd be a pretty amazing player. If both of them had a kid, but I mean, just looking at Alexander-Arnold and I think now looking at Alexander-Arnold, I think it's he's so good going forward, as well as. I think defensively, Wan-Bissaka is better, but I think going forward, Trent Alexander-Arnold is better. And again, and I'm sure they're the Liverpool fans probably thinking, what is this guy saying? Trent Alexander-Arnold is way better than Wan-Bissaka. And with all due respect to Liverpool fans, I think both of them are great players. And again, I think both of them are I think they're on the same level in my opinion. With Wan-Bissaka, he has a lot of growth left in him, whereas Trent is more just an established first team player for Liverpool. Anyways, moving on to our second to last segment, predictions. So before the show, we made some predictions in terms of who will finish top four, who will get relegated, who will win the Golden Boot, first sacked manager of the year, and young player of the year, and our player of the year. I'll start off. I think the top four. I think, in my opinion, I think Liverpool will could very well win the title again, although that could very well change. I think Liverpool could win the title again. I think Chelsea will finish second. I just think they're massive recruitment this summer. And apparently still not over. They're looking at Edouard Mendy, the goalkeeper from Rennes, to replace Kepa. As Kepa it's very clear that Kepa and Frank Lampard, they just don't work. Frank Lampard's just really lost it with Kepa. He's not happy. He's not been happy with his performances since I'd say around January-ish, or maybe even longer. I don't know. But I think Chelsea will finish second. I think Manchester City will finish third, and I think Manchester United will just make it, and I think Manchester United will finish fourth, but I don't think they'll be comfortably in fourth. I think it seems like Tottenham and maybe even Arsenal will come up for that fourth place spot, and I think. And I mean, you can even throw Wolves into that equation. I think those four teams will be battling out for fourth place. But I think at the end of the day, I think Manchester United will come out on top. But I think they'll just come out of the dust storm, just barely making it, in my opinion. Jose, what is your what are your predictions for top four?
My top four is the same as yours. I have Liverpool winning it. I have Chelsea in second. I have City in third. I think that could change if City get Koulibaly. I think they may just about clinch second. And I think and I also have United finishing fourth. But I think it's going to be really close between United and Arsenal in particular for the fourth spot.
Okay. Sirius, your top four predictions.
Mine is actually a little bit different. I think City could win it. Obviously we don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but I just think so. I think Liverpool second, Chelsea third, and obviously you guys are Man U fans. You put them fourth. I'm gonna put Arsenal fourth. Just how it is. So.
Oh well, I mean, of course there'll be fans laughing or whatnot, but again, we're all in for all opinions, and regardless of what people think, and of course I'm trying to be as non-biased as possible, as as much as a lot of people who watch this, who will probably watching the show already, know that I love Manchester United to bits, and Jose does as well. But we're all in, we're all open to opinions, and and I think that's a fair point. I mean, Arsenal's recruitment so far has been good. I think it could be better. Amid rumors of a move for Thomas Partey, maybe a new striker, I think that could be a possibility. It could very well be a possibility. And last but not least, Andre, your top 4 predictions.
Yeah, I'm glad we went over opinions because I think mine is more radical than anybody's.
Okay.
4th place, Liverpool. I'm going Liverpool 4th place.
Ooh, okay. That's a bit different, but okay.
Yeah, so I'm putting them 4th place. I know it's hopeful, but I'm going Spurs 3rd, Chelsea 2nd, City for 1st.
Okay. And again, and I personally disagree, and I'm sure that Jose and Cheers would disagree. But again, we're all ears, we're all open to all opinions. I welcome banter, but yeah, and I mean, personally for me, I just don't think Spurs have the quality to outdo Liverpool. I just as good as they can be, I just think at times they're too inconsistent. I think Liverpool's consistency second to none, and that's something that Manchester City really struggled with last year, and that's why I think Man City might fall off a bit. Anyways.
I don't think it's even too far-fetched, honestly, because Mourinho has famously done well in his second seasons at clubs.
That's very true.
I think it's
Manchester United, Chelsea.
Definitely possible that Tottenham could sneak into the top 4.
Yeah, I definitely think that's probable, 100%.
I think there's also, I hope Jurgen Klopp is smarter than this, but I think Klopp has right to be angry because he's done the world for Liverpool. He's
definitely
the league, whatever, and yet he's still not getting the transfer backing that he should be. It's like, what else do you have to do?
But yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we'll see the same Liverpool side as last season. I really don't. I think you'll see the same side that was runner-up for the Champions League against Real Madrid. I think that kind of Liverpool will be back for me.
That's a very good point, Andre. But if you're Liverpool and you're going to copy and you're thinking to yourself, looking how, whether the teams were just not up for it or whether Liverpool was that good. If you think about it, do they really need that much of an improvement? For me, yeah, sure, backup left back will probably do them well. Maybe a backup right back, but you have Gomez, you can play Milner there, and I'd say maybe one quality center back, maybe if you really want to go the extra step, like a De Ligt or Koulibaly, in my opinion. Maybe a Thiago. They've been linked with Thiago, but yeah, if you're Jurgen Klopp, do you really need that many more players? Do you really need that many more star names, or is it just like depth players?
Yeah, I think it's depth players. You look at their front 3, and it's like there's no one. Even Takumi Minamino disappointed last season, but who knows? Maybe he'll come back.
Scored in the Community Shield.
I think they have a really solid midfield, and they've shown that. But individually, their midfielders aren't the best. So I think another midfielder would do them well. So short answer for me is yes. I think Liverpool can be improved if they want to keep at the level that they've set for themselves. They'll still be a good side, obviously, but they're not going to dominate like they have.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think, yeah, and as you said, there's rarely been a time where a team will win the title and then they'll win it again next year. There really hasn't been that. The last time we saw it was with Manchester City, 2017-18, and 18-19. They won the title back to back. Anyways, going on to our next category, relegation. Now, I think there are a few teams up for relegation. For me, I think Aston Villa will go down. I just don't think Jack Grealish can just, as brilliant of a player he is, and all 4 of us off camera have said it. We all think Jack Grealish is a great player, but I just don't think he can do another season of what he did with Villa, and I think it will just be too much for him. I think Villa will go down. And for me, I think Fulham could very well go with them. I think Fulham will go down as well. And I think West Brom. I think the last was between West Brom, Brighton, and West Ham for me. I think West Ham will save themselves as they always do. And I think I don't know. I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? But I think West Brom will probably just edge him. Will go down as well. Yeah, I think it will be Aston Villa, Fulham, and West Brom. What do you guys think?
I agree with you about Villa and West Brom. And then my other pick is Brighton. I think that they're going to go down. I think they're going to be a victim of their own consistency. They've been consistently a mid-table team in the past few seasons, and I think they may just not take it as seriously as they should this season because there's just so much competition this season, and I think they're going to go down.
All right, Andre, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I do agree with you. I think Aston Villa, it's tough. They managed to survive, so congrats. But Dean Smith, their manager, another one that I think will get the sack this season. My top two are him and Moyes. I think they're two for sack race. In terms of going down, I agree with you. I say Villa, West Brom, Fulham.
Okay, and Sirius, what about you?
I agree with you with the Villa thing. They have Jack Grealish, but I don't think he's not like top player to get them out of trouble. I also think Fulham will go down. I was pretty mad when they beat Brentford. Kind of wanted to see Brentford.
Yeah, have a shot in the Premier League.
Yeah, it was disappointing, and I think West Ham will also go down because I think also Andre's right. Moyes will think he'll get the sack first.
Yeah, and the next section is actually yes, Andre?
Yeah, real quick before we go on. In terms of the newly promoted sides, none of us talked about Leeds, and I think it's because Leeds is so exciting, and it's like
Yeah, definitely.
it's been a while since we've had a team promote, and that we're so positive they're going to do well. The closest is Santos Wolves, and look at them now. So I think it's incredible. Leeds has just been promoted, but no one is tipping them to get relegated. I think they'll just be strong. It'll be weird to see them back, but
yeah. And I think especially for United fans, it will be Manchester United fans. It will be very annoying to see Leeds back and stronger than they were before. And the next topic is actually the sack race, and as all of you have been saying, I think David Moyes just is that number one for me. I think when he came into West Ham, he didn't want the interim job. He said he wanted it on a full-time basis. He wanted to have the ability to spend some money, and I think even with the signings that West Ham may make, I think the West Ham. I think he'll get sacked, in my opinion. Dean Smith is another one. Maybe Slav Bilic, of West Brom. Former West Ham manager, actually, Slav Bilic. But yeah, I mean those three definitely. Maybe Scott Parker. If it came down to any one of those four, I think it's going to be David Moyes for me.
I go Dean Smith. I think that Grealish is not going to be as inspired as he was last season. He's not going to be able to carry them as much as he did last season.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they're going to start really, really poorly. I think Dean Smith's going to go first.
I think we can all understand why there would be a lack of not just confidence, but also motivation for the Villa players. I think they will go in questioning themselves, the team's ability, and yeah, it'll be tough. It's because it's hard to see where they went wrong last year at times, and it's like they still were just not up to the challenge. And I would understand if if they were timid going in.
And Sirius, what about you?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I agree with Andre with Villa players. Honestly, I think former Brentford coach, actually the coach of them. I didn't actually rate him when he was Brentford coach. I don't really rate him now. Obviously he did a good job keeping Aston Villa in the Premier League, but I think just lack of motivation. I don't think they're gonna get far.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's a very good point, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, it wasn't really Dean Smith, really. It was if you realize, it was Jack Grealish, and I think it's especially in the summer, and I think Jack Grealish was hoping that after this year he get a move amid before they signed Van de Beek, very strong links to Manchester United, and still links with Arsenal and Manchester City, and I think inside he's very upset with us saying, oh thanks. It more or less was just like, oh thanks Jack for helping us stay up. Guess what? We're now going to slap an 80 million pound price tag on your head, so you're going nowhere. And I think he might be a bit unfazed by that. And I think with that, maybe might lose, might have, could potentially have an attitude problem. I don't think that's Grealish. I mean, I just think he's, I think he's a quality leader on the pitch. He's a good captain. I don't think there will be an issue, but I mean, if that arises during the season where it's lack of motivation, lack of minutes, just doesn't seem to be clicking, I don't think I'd be surprised. I really wouldn't be. Next topic is the Golden Boot race. Now there are a couple names up there, but I think this striker the striker whom I'm going to name just really needs to put some respect on his name, and because I've heard a lot of people questioning his abilities, which I think is crazy. I know some people who know me best are going to think I'm about to say Anthony Martial. No, I'm not going to say Anthony Martial. As much as I love him to bits, it's not Anto, as Oli always says. But I think I'm very jealous of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I think he's just on another level. He's a top-class striker, and for me, if it weren't for that man, and I've had Arsenal fans and some of my Arsenal fans tell me time and time again that they would be in a relegation battle. That they could have been relegated. It could have been that the Leeds United of 2003-04 season. And yeah, I think Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is up there. Jamie Vardy, Sergio Aguero, Harry Kane, even though he can be quite inconsistent at times. But I think it will be between Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Jamie Vardy, and I think Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang will get the Golden Boot.
I agree. I think Aubameyang will get it. I think it'll be really close between him and Timo Werner. But I think that Timo Werner will have other Chelsea players like Ziyech and Havertz taking some of his goals. So I think that Aubameyang will edge this.
Yeah, I agree with you guys as well. Honestly, I was kind of thinking of putting Aguero for a second, but if he has a fully fit season, I bet he could. But I have to go with Aubameyang. I don't think he will.
And Andre, what about you?
Yeah, I think Aubameyang deserves a lot of credit if he can actually keep the momentum he has now going through all of next season. That would be remarkable, and he should get credit for that. Sadly, I'm not sure he will. I'm not necessarily doubting him. I'm just not 100% sure he can keep it up. I guess that is doubting, but yeah, I'll go. I think Harry Kane has been slow for 2 seasons running now. He hasn't hit the heights as when he beat Lukaku, was up there with Salah, whatever. So I think he's ready for a comeback. I think Kane is more motivated than ever to do really well. So I think I'll go Harry Kane.
Okay. All right. So we have 3 saying Aubameyang and 1 says Harry Kane. Fair enough. Again, I personally don't. I just think Harry Kane's inconsistency, and his lack of ability to stay fully fit throughout a season, I think that will hinder him to a certain extent. But whether you're an Arsenal fan, a Tottenham fan, any soccer fan who knows anything about the Premier League, I mean, nobody can deny this man's footballing ability and his quality. I mean, this guy's a top world-class striker, and he's now done it, in just season after season after season. And to be honest, if Tottenham don't win trophies, I think at some point he's gonna be like, I love this club, but I think I need to move on. I want to win trophies, and yeah, I rate him. I don't think he'll win the Golden Boot. Second to last category, we have Young Player of the Year. And for me, when I look at Young Player of the Year, yes, I know Trent Alexander-Arnold's young. he's young. You have the likes of Marcus Rashford, and and I don't know why Anthony Martial is thrown into that category. He's 24, although I love Anto to bits. You shouldn't be there. And Jesse Lingard, the youngster. No, I'm just joking. And yeah, but yeah, I mean, when I think of young players, I think of just rookies and first timers, and like I think of 18, 19, 20-year-old players. When it comes to young player of the year, I think again I could very sound a bit biased. I mean, just listing them off now. I mean, there's the likes of Mason Mouch, as Frank Lampard would say. You have Tamori, you didn't really play much. Tammy Abraham, who's more of an established player. You have the likes of Young Saka, Joe Willock, Martinelli, Mason Greenwood, Brandon Williams, Billy Gilmore. I mean, there's so many good young players in the Premier League. Curtis Jones. But I mean, for me, I think Phil Foden. But I mean, for me, I think it's very clear. I think it will be Mason Greenwood to win that Young Player of the Year.
I agree. I also go Mason Greenwood. I think it has to be him just because he scored 10 goals last season at 18. I think he's going to score more this year, and I don't think any player that's his age is going to match that.
Andre?
Yeah, I really want to say
Serious?
Saka, but sorry. I really want to say Saka, but
Yeah,
I think he'll be in top 3 for sure. I think he's gonna have another decent season. I'm actually not gonna go with Greenwood. I think he'll have another good season. I'm gonna go with Havertz actually. He just turned 21, young player. I think he'll be decent. I think he can win it.
Okay, that's very outside of the box thinking, Serious. That's when I was thinking young players, I wasn't thinking of maybe a guy like that, but yeah, but I mean he makes a very good point there. For our listeners here, I mean he's still 21. I mean I think of young players or in terms of qualifying for the award, I think like it's like I don't know, maybe like a rookie or like a second year kind of thing. I mean I think like 21 and under, but yeah, he makes a very good point there. Kai Havertz could win it. I mean you never know. And last but not least, Andre, what about you? Do you think Troy Parrott or Oliver Skip could win the award? Just joking, they're on loan elsewhere. But yeah, who do you think will win the award?
I think Saka is actually a contender. I think we'll see a new Saka, and I think he'll put up numbers. But I wouldn't rule him out. But another thing is that we forget that Pulisic is 21 years old. He's still young, and we'll see how well he competes for that role in Lampard's side. But he's done it thus far. So yeah, I think we forget how young he is. So I'm gonna go Pulisic or Saka.
Okay, I think it's a very valid point there. Christian Pulisic, he's been very hit or miss this season. Christian Pulisic. Started off the year, okay, and then he eventually got into a red hot form of games, and then he went missing through injury, then came back, then missing again through injury, and then coming out of lockdown, he's been unbelievable. He was in unbelievable form. I remember he almost won the game against Liverpool, or thanks to Pulisic, he almost carried Chelsea to maybe getting a point or something like that back. But yeah, but that's very good thinking from you, Andre. And our last category, just player of the year. I think player of the year. I think it's. I mean, maybe not as clear as some people think it, but I think it's going to be very clear. I think he goes by 3 letters, and his name is KDB. Whatever people want to say, I think that man, that world-class player, Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, he's on another level for me. And the things that he's been doing for Man City have just been unreal. And I mean, if you think about it, like if Kevin De Bruyne didn't sign for City, they probably wouldn't have scored maybe three-fourths of the goals that they've scored since he's come. I just think he's on another level. I mean, I know some people might say Van Dijk, something like that. I know some people might say Jordan Henderson, which I'm bewildered to see how he won that award last year. Um, and yeah, some people could say, I don't know, Mane or Salah, Aubameyang, Bruno Fernandes. I mean, whoever it is. But I think for me, I think it will be Kevin De Bruyne.
I think a lot is riding on whether or not Manchester City figure out how to deal with teams who hit them on the break and just sit back.
That's a very good point.
Because if they do that, then I think they're going to win a lot of games, and then I think there's a real reason for a KDB to be the player who gets that trophy, the player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to figure out how to do that this season. And I think Chelsea are going to have a really good season, and I think that Timo Werner is going to be the best player in that team, and I think that he's going to win it.
Do you think Timo Werner will win Player of the Year? That's a very interesting thought there, Jose. Andre, Sirius, what are you guys thinking for Player of the Year?
I think it's gonna be KDB as well. Honestly, I think if I'm not wrong, he had 20 assists last year, tying Thierry Henry's record. I hope he doesn't get more than that record, but I think he's gonna get a lot of assists this season. A couple goals, I think he'll get it, even if Man City don't win the Premier League.
Again, you just touched on it. Kevin De Bruyne's quality is second to none, and I think for anybody who questions this guy's ability, they clearly don't know a whole lot about football, don't they? And it's just that simple. And he's just incredible. And last but not least, Andre. Who do you think will be Player of the Year? Do you think it will be Harry Winks or no? I'm just joking. Who do you think it will be?
Iniesta? No. I think you're gonna have the big name, fun to watch players. I think Salah, KDB, and Aguero, if he can, keep his fitness up. It's going to be someone like that. I don't think it'll be Van Dijk. I don't think it'll be, a strong role like Henderson and whatnot. I'd tip it to go from someone from City. If Aguero can keep fitness, you know what? No, I'll go KDB.
Okay. That's a very fair point. I think KDB again, his quality is just second to none. To be honest with you, he's just he's a top class player in it. He's just someone. He's just so good, and yeah, he's just on another level. I think that's all for today. And are we missing anything, or is there anything else anybody else wants to say before we wrap it up? Anything else?
I think we're good. I guess we forgot to. Palace brought in a player. I think it's called Easy or something. Ease.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was it, like 20 million pounds from the QPR or something?
Yeah, he's supposed to be. I'm excited to see how he does, but yeah, we forgot to mention him.
Yeah. Crystal Palace fans, and I can thank Andre for that one, for whoever watched their show. Easy signs from QPR for 20 million pounds. Hopefully Crystal Palace fans, and that goes well for Crystal Palace. If we don't have anything, we would just like to say thank you for watching our show, and we hope you enjoyed our very first episode. We will be making an Instagram for it, so you can follow us and DM us there. And if you'd ever like to guest on our show, just message Instagram or all four of us. Shout out your socials. I'm on Instagram. I'm at Davey DAVEYE _20. Shout out your socials.
Joseph W. Lawrence.
Andre.
Nah, you can just follow PL Primetime. That'll be the Insta username.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I'll be tagged there. Who knows? But.
And Sirius.
I think he froze.
Sirius Gore. Instagram.
All right. Well, that is all for today. I hope all of you enjoyed the show. And again, I'm thrilled to be your host for the show, and I hope that and I hope all of you have enjoyed this first episode. And we'll be trying to air it once a week. Again, we hope you enjoy your show, and we hope you have a great rest of your day, wherever you are in the world. And see you next time next week.